I'm Allan Shope, and I am an architect in Dutchess County, New York. I practiced for 25 years in Greenwich, Connecticut at a well-known architectural firm, Shope, Reno, Wharton Associates. And during the course of those 25 years, I spent all of my time responding to the building boom and the housing bubble, and it created a pretty wonderful firm that designed incredible buildings and got published on an awful lot of magazines. At the end of it, I felt that the building boom had created me rather than me managing it, and I was in response to it, and I didn't like that fact. And I thought it was time to review how I was seeing sites. I believe that I was seeing site design as a series of constraints rather than understanding their potential. And I felt that I was doing the same with vernacular expression. I was dealing with it as a series of existing constraints and not allowing its potential to bubble up to the surface. And the same with sustainability, an issue of constraints rather than potential. And the same with architecture, with a capital A, the poetry of architecture, that it was a series of constraints rather than potential. So in my presentation this morning, I tried to explain to everyone what changes I was making professionally to be able to see those kinds of issues differently and focus more on potential and less on constraints. In the case of sites, that involved understanding more about the natural aspect of sites and how we could be better stewards of land rather than owners of land. As owners, we were dealing more with constraints, and as stewards, we were more part of a community and dealing in a more homogeneous, natural way with land. With respect to vernacular expression, I felt that shouldn't be about historical influence. It should be about craftsmanship and local materials and how we can express that in our buildings. And I made a personal commitment to spend 2 hours a day in my wood shop and have my own personal maker's journey influence the designs I was doing for clients. With respect to sustainability, I went and educated myself. I went back to school and tried to understand simple topics like how many kilowatt hours are in a cheeseburger. I didn't know why I didn't know that. I felt that most architects do an awful lot of specification of large energy issues, and we should be able to be fluent in how many kilowatt hours is a calorie, how many calories is a foot-pound. We should have a basic knowledge of energy. We spend a lot of time talking about greenness, and very few architects know much about energy. So that was an educational process, which has been a lot of fun. And with respect to architecture, I vowed to once a month to go on a trip and make that trip about a topic involving architecture. So I went on a ridiculous buildings trip, and an earth-burned buildings trip, and a confinement buildings trip, and an inspiring buildings trip, and a recycled buildings trip, and there's been 71 of them so far. And collectively that has changed my career to make a different type of building, which is where my practice currently is. So that is the summary.